Hello, and thank you for tuning in. This is Joshua on the Konoha Companion podcast. I'm your Konoha Companion. Today we're going to be going over Season 1, Episode 2, entitled My Name is Konohamaru. Obviously, I don't think at this point we've met or even seen Konohamaru on screen. Konohamaru is obviously a character that's about to get introduced in the show. And with that, let's just dive right in. This episode, they start with the intro. They don't start off with any dialogue or anything like they did in week 1. And the whole episode starts with just a, come on! And, it's the, cheesiest 1980s energy that you could ever come up with, man. But this was made in, the mid-2000s, right? So, those guys in Japan knew what they were doing. They were definitely trying to hit the nostalgia bug for us here in America. In this show, on this particular intro, the intros changed throughout the show, and on this one they're showing Sasuke and Sakura and showing the bond between them. They show Sasuke helping up Naruto, and they also show another character who we haven't met yet that has white hair and that has his face covered in a mask, and I am not sure if they actually introduce him in this episode or not, but ultimately I'm really looking forward to talking about that guy as well. So you always keep an eye on these intros. There's always some neat little Easter eggs. The episode starts with a shot of the Great Stone faces and my favorite sound effects, the ones that I made last week that I won't humiliate myself by making again this week. But, I forget, being at the end of the series, how much they used to do this. So it's really striking the nostalgia bug for me going back and watching it again and catching these neat sound effects. The first thing that's happening is there's a photographer photographing Naruto, and he's asking Naruto if he's sure that he wants his photograph taken like that, but you really can't see what's going on with Naruto, right? So you don't know what the photographer is referring to, and Naruto is just telling him, yeah, come on, let's do it. The photographer begrudgingly agrees to take the photo, and he goes on to tell Naruto not to blame him later for what's about to happen. The lens snaps, and it's revealed that Naruto is a clown. Literally. He's got red and white paint all over his face and hands. And they hit us with more of the sound effects. Just, my goodness, nostalgia overload. Y'all can't do this more than 3 or 4 times in an episode. I might just melt down. In this moment, a child's voice comes on, and the title slide comes in, and a child's voice comes on and says, "My name is Konohamaru." Now, presumably, this is the voice of Konohamaru. The next thing that we're confronted with is Naruto sitting in the Hokage's office, and he's explaining to the Hokage that he did what he did with his photo because it was like an art project, but on his face. Now, I can appreciate this, right? Art's everywhere. Have some fun. Lord Third proceeds to demand that Naruto take the photo again, but Naruto doesn't agree. And they have a little standoff, right? They're staring at each other, and they're seeing who's about to win this battle of wills. And Naruto busts out the sexy jutsu on Lord Third, and it literally knocks Lord Third out of his chair. And he's laying on the ground, bloody nose. And while this is happening, it's revealed that there is a younger child peeking into the Hokage's office from the cracked door. And Lord Third gets back up, gets into his chair, and is cleaning the blood from his nose when he commends the sexy jutsu on its trickiness, right? Gives it its due props, but also goes on to say that it's just much too tricky and demands Naruto not use it anymore. Lord Third points out that Naruto isn't wearing his headband and asks why. And you'll remember the headband is of major significance in the series. It means a lot for everybody who gets one, so it's a reasonable question for Lord Third to be like, why aren't you wearing your headband? But Naruto explains that he doesn't intend to put on the headband until after orientation because he wants to keep it nice. And this is, again, really nice because it indicates how much Naruto really cares about the symbol that the headband represents, and that he wants to preserve it to the best of his ability, right? So Naruto really, really cares about this stuff, even down to the symbol. The Hokage questions why Naruto would be so concerned with keeping his headband nice, yet at the same time is okay with his ninja ID photo that's supposed to identify him, making him look like such a clown. And while this is happening, the kid peering through the cracked door pulls out a ninja star, right? It's now clear that whoever is out there, albeit young, is planning an ambush on the people in the Hokage's office. And, it's serious business, man. These ninja, the Genin, they're young. You can be young and be a formidable ninja. So the idea that just because he's young means he's not going to be a threat is ridiculous. And in this moment, the kid comes bursting into the Hokage's office and screams, "Old man, I challenge you. I'm going to defeat you and become the 5th Hokage." And the child lunges for the Hokage, and he proceeds to trip over his own scarf and just face plants in front of everybody. And Lord Third thinks to himself, "My grandson, another headache." And Lord Third's grandson is now laying on the ground, licking his wounds, making excuses, when an unknown character busts in the door. And this new guy is just clearly distraught by what's going on in the room. And he goes, "Are you okay, honorable grandson?" Right, so now this guy obviously knows that this kid is the grandson of the Hokage. And throughout all of this, Naruto just kind of has big stinky hippo eyes and is wondering to himself about the kid who tripped, who is this shrimp? Now, throughout the rest of the episode, I'm going to refer to this kid as Shrimp or Shrimpy, and probably throughout every time I ever talk about him forever. But so, just know moving forward that anytime I refer to Shrimp or Shrimpy, that's referring to the Hokage's grandson. And the new guy who burst into the door spots Naruto and thinks to himself, "Oh, it's that kid, the nine-tailed fox. He's the worst kind of troublemaker." And so here we are yet again being hammered over the head by the writers with the point that Naruto is generally perceived as a troublemaker and not necessarily a great influence on the honorable grandson of the Lord Third Hokage. At that point, Shrimpy accuses Naruto of having tripped him, and Naruto just isn't having any of that shit at all. Naruto walks up to him, grabs him by his scarf, and tells him, "You tripped over your own feet, dork." And the new guy in the room just freaks out and yells for Naruto to take his hands off him. That's the honorable grandson of the 3rd Hokage. At this point, the kid just has the shittiest little grin on his face, and he's thinking to himself, "Yeah, that stopped him, just like all the rest. Now that he knows who I am, he won't dare lay a finger on me." And his shitty grin gets even shittier, like just a little shithead who's used to working his little privilege stick. And the kid proceeds to out loud taunt Naruto, asking him, "What's the matter, huh? I thought you were going to hit me, tough guy. Afraid because I'm the 3rd Hokage's grandson?" And at this point, man, it's how could you possibly like this kid, right? I mean, it's really, really ugly the way that he's acting, but Naruto tells him, "I don't care if he's your grandmother, so believe it," and knocks the absolute fuck out of Shrimpy, knocks him out. And the last thing that Shrimpy thinks on the way down is, "This guy is different." And at this point, the guy who burst into the room, who hasn't shut up about Shrimpy being the honorable 3rd Hokage's grandson, sees this and about has a seizure, right? His mouth is on the floor. Obviously, this guy is not used to seeing the Hokage's grandson getting knocked around at all. And Lord Third, on the other hand, is just cool as a cucumber, barely even moves a muscle. He just kind of dips his head a little bit, and he thinks to himself that this isn't looking good. The next scene is the swing. God bless that swing. Every time I see that swing, I'm going to say God bless that swing. So God bless that swing. After that, the guy who burst into the room and kept defending the Hokage's grandson is now giving the Hokage's grandson a lecture, basically telling him that he is from an honorable family, that he's the grandson of the third Hokage, and that he can't stoop to the levels of those beneath him and fight, even if they deserve it. The dude even refused to Naruto as far beneath him. So, yeah, pretty extraordinary levels of condescension and patronization there. Hard to like someone like that. Luckily, I like the third Hokage, right? So, yeah, there's some rollover passes that I can give these guys because they're on the team of the Hokage, man. But really, I'm not liking the vibe these guys are giving at all at this point, right? He also goes on to say that as your elite ninja trainer, I'm never wrong, which means I'm always right. I'm far above the other trainers, so heed my every word. Your goal is to become the next Hokage, and I can teach you the best way to do it. And so this is neat, right? Obviously now he's not just some random guy who's busting the room who knows about the relationship between the Hokage and his grandson. He's actually identified himself as not only a ninja trainer, but an elite ninja trainer. He also mentioned that it's Shrimpy's goal to become the Hokage. And so this is now, obviously framing this kid to be a rival of Naruto's, right? I mean, Naruto has already proclaimed that he's going to be the next Hokage. And so, I know that if it's coming down to Shrimpy or Naruto, I really believe I know who I'm going to be rooting for. And in the middle of all this, the Hokage's grandson just leaves, right? Doesn't say a word, just dips. And his trainer doesn't notice until he's already out of the room. And again, this sends him into a fit, and he starts panicking and looking for him. Lord Third, chill as a cucumber still, tells him that he believes Shrimpy left with Naruto and that he has no idea where they went. And this just sends the trainer even further down the throw in a fit rabbit hole and goes off running, looking for him to try and make sure that they're separated. So it's really, really super clear that this guy wants the Hokage's grandson to stay away from bad influences such as Naruto. But Shrimpy hanging out with Naruto doesn't seem to bother Lord Third near as much. You would think that the Lord Third's grandson's trainer's demeanor would be more similar to that of Lord Third's, but I guess everybody plays their own role. And while Lord Third has a moment to himself, he thinks, how did he grow up to be this way? That was his 20th sneak attack today. And if he starts running around with Naruto, he's sure to get even worse. Naruto wouldn't teach him anything really bad, would he? And so, obviously, this kind of reiterates the point that I was just making, right? There's some general concern about the relationship between Shrimpy and Naruto, but ultimately Lord Third is effectively happy to let these two kids live their lives, right? He's not going to squeeze them. They have a saying that people are like soap. If you squeeze them too hard, they slip right from between your fingers. And I think that Hiruzen is doing a pretty good job of not squeezing anybody too hard and kind of letting people live their lives. And that's something that I respect a lot. Next is Naruto walking down the street by himself, but then lo and behold, he's being tailed, albeit poorly, by Shrimpy. Now, Naruto catches wind of it. Obviously, he's being tailed very poorly. He turns to address the kid, and he hides under a sheet in the middle of the street. And it's not like he's laying flat, like he literally squats down and like makes a ball out of himself with a sheet. His feet are sticking out. It's just terrible. Now, Naruto tries to play it off. He keeps walking, but he inevitably gets fed up with it and turns to call the kid out again. Now, what transpires here is really cute. The kid hides behind a sheet that's made to look like a fence, just like Naruto did in the first episode whenever he was running from his authoritarian pursuers. But the primary problem that Shrimpy is having is that he pulled the sheet up in the wrong direction, right? The planks of the wood should be running up and down, and the planks of the wood that are on his sheet are running horizontal, right? So it's just clearly not working. But he also has his hair sticking up, his feet are sticking out. It's just clearly bad. And it's just a lot of fun, man. It's lighthearted, cute, and I can't get enough of it. When Naruto sees through Shrimpy's camouflage, he announces that the rumors about you are true, you're good, and then he proceeds to demand that Naruto take him on as an apprentice, and for Naruto to teach him the sexy jutsu that he used to get a leg up on his grandpa. Naruto initially says no, but after a little begging out of Shrimpy, Naruto effectively agrees to be his new trainer. The first lesson that Naruto offers is that if Shrimpy wants to become a top-notch ninja, he's got to learn to be able to control his katra. Yeah, you heard that right. Katra. Like meow meow, kitty kitty, katra. And the kid, corrects him. And Naruto plays it off, right? Whatever. And he goes on to try and explain what chakra is, but the kid butts in and explains that, and I quote, "Chakra is the elemental life energy that is used to perform jutsu. The ninja arts combine physical energy from each cell in the body with mystical energy, which is intensified from training and experience. When these two chakra mix, special hand signs allow for the ninja to focus this combined energy for advanced jutsu." Which is cool. It's the first time that they've really explained kind of the magical energy that goes on behind why these guys are able to do these awesome moves, right? Like, obviously they're doing stuff that's beyond what normal people can do. And so this is the deal. This is the thing behind it all. There's this magical energy called chakra that they infuse, and they can do hand signs, and it allows for them to do some some really, really spectacular stuff. Naruto calls the kid a know-it-all and even slaps him upside the head for interrupting him to just simply read a definition from out of a book. He literally just has a scroll and is reading it out loud. Naruto warns Shrimpy that he's going to throw some really big challenges his way that are going to demand him to just really, really achieve some awesome stuff. Naruto tells Shrimpy that he wants to perform a transformation. Shrimps tells Naruto that he can't find any inspiration for it to transform into. So Naruto suggests that he transforms into the likeness of a female shopper nearby in the market. Shrimps obliges and turns into the most ogre-esque version of that shopper imaginable. Like, it's bad. It's like if you were to take the woman that Naruto appointed and Shrek and make them have a baby, that's what you wound up with here. Shrimpy asks, "How'd I do?" And Naruto responds, "The clothes are kind of like her." The clothes were right. It's like a purple robe, and he's in a purple robe, so got that right. And the screen pans, and it reveals the lady that Shrimpy was trying to transform into standing behind Naruto, right? And she is just fuming for being compared to whatever Shrimps has just transformed into. She proceeds to set Naruto on his ass, but politely asks the honorable grandson to try and be a little cuter next time he transforms into her. This is, again, just hammering back down on the whole Naruto is nobody and gets treated badly, and Shrimps is somebody and gets treated more fairly, reoccurring theme that's kind of reared its head already a couple times in this episode. Naruto evidently misses this point and wonders out loud why he's the only one getting hit. Naruto takes Shrimps out to do some research on female beauty, and I just love where this is heading. I love perv comedy. If you don't like perv comedy, fight me. Please don't fight me. I'm not any good. But so these two fools sneak into a magazine shop past a sleeping cashier and crack open the Naruto versus equivalent of Victoria's Secret and get their perv on. And suddenly an adult appears behind them, and they have eyes that are just glowing yellow like the sun, and they have like a lashing tool in their hand, like slapping their hands with it. And he goes, "This is not a library, Naruto," and promptly kicks Naruto and Shrimpy out of his magazine store. And next they're standing out front of an unidentified building. Naruto tells Shrimps that this is our ladies too, so really have to give everything you got. Excuse me. So yeah, effectively he's telling Shrimps that he's got to give everything that he's got. He looks at Shrimps and reveals he has a black eye from the shopkeeper. So Naruto actually got a black eye at the last shop. They both perform a transformation jutsu at the same time, and they turn into female versions of themselves. Naruto's kind of cute, but Shrimps is just lumpy and looks silly. Right, he's still not got the transformation down. They look at each other, nod, and walk into the building. A few anxious seconds of silence go by, and suddenly the screams of women can be heard, and one even exclaims, "You again!" Stay put out of the girls' locker room. And so, yeah, Naruto took Shrimps into the girl locker room so they could see what girls look like. Next is Naruto standing somewhere, and his face is all lumped up, right? He's obviously getting his ass beat worse and worse as this day goes along with him trying to train Shrimps. Shrimps is yet again unscathed, and Naruto wonders aloud again, why am I the only one getting whacked around? Shrimps, with a saddened look on his face, proceeds to explain that it's because he's the grandson of the Hokage. But Naruto is having none of Shrimp's sadness. He tells him not to worry about it because he's prepared him and he's ready to learn the sexy jutsu. And that basically all he needs to do is practice at this point. So they start training, and Naruto offers the advice that you need to get all the curves in the right places, right? They start training, and that's the advice that he has to offer, which I guess is fair. I mean, I even described the transformation that Shrimps did earlier as lumpy, right? So obviously there are curves in places where they aren't supposed to be. So, you know, I wanted to kind of poop on that, but here now, as I'm saying it, it kind of actually makes a lot of sense why he would say it. And they cut to Shrimp's actual elite ninja trainer, and he's up on top of the stone faces, looking out over the village, wondering to himself out loud what Naruto's done and what his evil plan is. He proceeds to say out loud to nobody in particular that he's a Jonin, the highest ninja rank, and an elite ninja trainer of the future Hokage, and that any parasite that leeches onto his student will be squashed, and then leaps into action. Now, this statement does two things, right? One, it clearly establishes just how lowly the dude really thinks of Naruto. Obviously, he told Shrimps that Naruto was way below him earlier, but he's literally referring to Naruto as a parasite that is leeching off of Shrimps at this point. And the other thing is that it clearly defined that there's a ranking hierarchy for ninja in the village, and that Jonin sits at the top of the totem pole. So, Shrimps is training to be the Hokage. He has an elite ninja trainer who is a Jonin, which means that his trainer is the highest ranking type of ninja that they have in the village. So whenever he says he's an elite ninja trainer, he's not full of shit. The next scene is Naruto and Shrimps sitting on a log in the woods next to a vending machine. Like there was an establishing shot that clearly showed that these guys were like way out in the woods, and there's a vending machine here. I don't know, doesn't make a lot of sense to me, but that's how they portrayed it. So we're gonna roll with it, right? Naruto asks Shrimp what his obsession with his grandpa is, and Shrimps proceeds to say that, and I quote, "My grandfather named me Konohamaru, after the ancient name of the village, so it should be easy to remember, but no one calls me that name. Not one person in the whole village. That's because when they look at me, they don't really see me. All they see is the honorable grandson of the Lord Hokage. No one knows who I am." And Shrimp has finally told us his name. It's Konohamaru, right? He's the kid who the whole episode is about, right? The episode is literally named after him. So I think it's safe to assume that we're going to get a pretty heavy dose of Konohamaru throughout the entire series. Obviously, he's been a little frustrating to this point, but This moment of sincerity that he's had with Naruto about feeling invisible and not really being seen has helped him and Naruto empathize and connect with one another in a unique way, in quite the same way as Naruto was able to connect with Iruka, right? So now, Naruto is really starting to establish some meaningful relationships with some people in the village. And in the first episode, he said that he has nobody, right? And so now he's at least able to empathize at the human level with Konohamaru and Iruka in the village, right? So he's not quite so alone anymore, which is really, really nice. I do hate that Konohamaru is living in his grandpa's shadow. With that being said, he doesn't want for anything, right? He's just trying to actualize himself, and that's a struggle, and that's okay, right? But the kid isn't looking for food or, starving or worrying for shelter. So, as much as I empathize with him, the sympathy might not be there. Cool kid, get your shit figured out. He proceeds to say that he basically wants to become Hokage so that people will know who he is, which is, again, the same thing that Naruto wants, right? It's the same thing that Iruka wanted whenever Iruka was acting out, whenever he was young. Everybody just wants to be acknowledged and recognized and accepted, which is really beautiful. Naruto goes on to tell Konohamaru that if you want to be Hokage, you're going to have to beat me in battle. And with this, the guitar solo drops, and we switch back to the Lord Third chilling on top of the building, listening to the birds. Lord Third's always real chill. Literally, all this is transpiring, and he's standing outside listening to the birds sing. Iruka Sensei drops in and asks if Naruto has resubmitted his ninja ID photo, and goes on to say that Naruto is still beaming from becoming a Genin, a ninja trainee. Now, this is cool, right? This is established now that we know at least two of the ranks, right, within the ninja hierarchy. And the Jonin sits at the top, and the Genin sits at the bottom, right? The Jonin are the elite ninja trainers and such, and the Genin are ninja trainees, and there's potentially some type of spectrum between here and there that we haven't discovered yet. Iruka expresses to Lord Third that Naruto believes now that he's achieved the rank of Genin, people will stop looking down on him so much and give him some respect. Lord Third doesn't seem so hopeful and goes on to explain that that he fears Naruto's dream of being loved and respected may not come true, as people don't change so easily. Lord Third goes on to reveal that only the people who fought the nine-tailed fox before are aware that Naruto has the beast sealed away inside of him, and that he had decreed nobody was to speak of this ever, and those who whispered of it were punished severely. So the children of today know nothing about the connection between Naruto and the beast that ravaged the village before. It is Lord Third's belief that if the children don't know about this, Naruto has some hope of finding acceptance among them, right? And that ultimately this was the wish of the fourth Hokage before he sacrificed himself to save the village. It was also the wish of the fourth Hokage that Naruto be regarded as a hero when he grows up. And Hiruzen goes on to explain that effectively Naruto is a hero because he has sacrificed having a normal life by containing this nine-tailed fox monster within himself, right? And that every day he's alive, he's doing the world a service by keeping this nine-tailed fox at bay inside of him, right? So the man really is a hero. I mean, every day that he breathes, we avert the thing that kicked off the entire series in the beginning. And so if that isn't heroic, I don't know what is. Obviously, it's not like he's doing it out of any merit, right? It's not like I'm going to go hold the nine-tailed fox because I care about the village or anything like that, right? But at this point, the truth of the matter is that every day Naruto is alive, they've averted a major catastrophe, which is really neat. Many people don't understand this thought, though. They misunderstand and believe that the fox will take over Naruto's body, or that Naruto perhaps even is the fox incarnate. And remember, that's literally exactly what Mizuki-sensei said about Naruto, was that he was the fox spirit and that he was going to exact revenge on the village and that he couldn't believe anything less than that. He goes on to say that the children feel the fear that their parents have towards Naruto, and that they just naturally can't help but gravitate away from Naruto, right? Obviously, you're coming up, you see your parents throw shade at a kid, you're going to throw shade at that kid as well, right? You're just a baby monkey figuring it out. Monkey see, monkey do. Monkey see, mommy shun baby, monkey shun baby, right? So it's a real simple matter whenever it comes right down to it. He goes on to be quoted saying that when the people reject someone's very existence and then look at that person, their eyes become cold as an ice storm in the deepest winter. And at this point, the scene migrates to Konohamaru's trainer jumping through the trees and tracking down Naruto and Shrimps. And when he sees Naruto, he thinks to himself, the nine-tailed fox, just menacingly. And when they lock eyes, Naruto thinks, that icy stare. They always look at me that way. And, this just validates everything that Lord Third, Hiruzen Sarutobi had just said, right? When someone rejects someone's very existence and look at that person, their eyes become colder than an ice storm in the deepest winter. Naruto gets looked at by someone who has rejected his very existence and notices that that person's gaze is very cold. So again, man, Lord Third, super on it, knows exactly what's going on. Konohamaru tells his trainer to leave and that he's training with Naruto so that he can beat his grandfather. The trainer offers that a Hokage is more than just a fighter. He needs to have virtue, honor, wisdom, and he must be skilled in 1,000 jutsu. You don't even know one jutsu. And I'll be the first to tell you that, man, I have not really liked this dude at all until this point. But there's some wisdom in what he's saying there. Some of what he said definitely rings true. Shrimpy does a sexy transformation jutsu and turns into a nude version of the beautiful woman from the market earlier. And the trainer loses his shit. Such tasteless vulgarity could never influence me. I'm far above it. Right, so this guy's above Naruto, above all the other Genin, above being horny, bonk pseudo. He doesn't worry about nothing. At this point, the trainer is legit trying to drag Konohamaru away by his scarf, and he's saying that Naruto is going to turn him into a delinquent, and that only his special training can put him on the fast track to becoming Hokage. Naruto is clearly upset about this. He's become friends with Konohamaru, aka Shrimpy. And Naruto busts out the Shadow Clone Jutsu, and Konohamaru is just starstruck, right? Oh my god, he's got so many Shadow Clones. Anybody who sees him, it set Mizuki Sensei on his ass when he saw it, right? So you can imagine the reaction that young kid Konohamaru is going to have whenever he sees it. And the elite trainer sees this, and I think he's honestly probably pretty scared, but he puts on a pretty strong poker face and says that this isn't something that even impresses him, and that he isn't some lightweight like Mizuki, and to watch how a real ninja defeats an upstart. Meanwhile, Lord Third is still just big chilling, watching all this unfold from his crystal ball. I love the crystal ball. Crystal ball tech. Need that in my life. When it flashes back to the fight, Naruto pulls a fast one and does a transformation on all of his shadow clones and does a sexy jutsu with his entire assortment of shadow clones. And all the naked blonde shadow clones proceed to smother the elite trainer, and he loses it. And this is the first time we ever get to see the harem jutsu, man. Thousands of naked hot blondes smothering you. It's hard for anybody to defend. I understand. The dude shoots blood out of his nose so hard it sends him flying in the air, and he lands on the ground and is effectively completely incapacitated. I love the perv jokes, man. I just can't get over how much I love them. And I also think it's neat that anytime that someone is like really horny, right, they're having blood shoot out their nose, right? I don't know if I necessarily understand that, right? Like, obviously they saw something, they got excited, their heart started pumping, their blood pressure raised so fast that they shot blood out of their nose, right? So, that's how I would understand the joke. Maybe it's a Japanese thing, it doesn't translate super well into English, I don't know. But definitely upon second revisit, right, watching this all the second time around, I can't get enough of these guys being horny and shooting blood out of their nose and being knocked out of fights in that way. Afterwards, Konohamaru is exclaiming in frustration about how he couldn't even beat his stuck-up trainer. How's he supposed to become Hokage? Naruto offers that it was never going to be easy, in that in order to be Hokage, you have to be the greatest of all ninja, and you have to prove yourself so that everybody believes in you. And at this point, Lord Third is watching all this happen through his crystal ball, and he's just kind of shaking his head and going, man, it's really tricky that he just combined several jutsu like that, several complex jutsu like that to make a new jutsu. And he even admits to himself in his internal dialogue that a move like that might have even gotten him. And this is like the Kage, so literally the leader of the village is even recognizing how special and unique and effective some of these tactics that this kid are coming up with are. Naruto tells Konohamaru to look at him for inspiration. He goes, look at me. I've been through a lot already. I've been ignored, pushed away, and treated like I have the plague or something. And after all that, I found one person who believes in me. And he thinks of Iruka Sensei, right? Iruka's the one person who believes in Naruto. I've been treated like I have the plague or something. And after all that, I found one person who believes in me. To find that one person, I had to get knocked down a lot. So you better make sure you're ready for lots of sweat and tears while you're training to become a ninja. Oh, and by the way, there's no easy way to become Hokage, believe it. And Konohamaru flashes back to when Naruto told him if he wanted to be Hokage, he'd have to beat Naruto in battle. Konohamaru laughs and exclaims that he's no longer Naruto's apprentice and that from now on they're rivals. Naruto agrees and says that he's looking forward to the day they get to fight for the title of Hokage. Naruto walks off and gives Shrimps a wave. Konohamaru gives Naruto a salute and they go their separate ways. Lord Third is still watching from his crystal ball and has a huge, huge smile and thinks to himself, at last, he's finally started down the path to becoming a true ninja. And with that, you've wrapped up episode 2 of Naruto. And I really like this episode. They gave us some critical information, right? Obviously, in these first few episodes of the first season, there's a lot of unpacking, right? We're on a 720 some odd episode journey, and there's a lot of really in-depth lore that goes into this. And so, they're just kind of setting the stage still. They introduced Konohamaru. Konohamaru is evidently going to be a potential rival of Naruto's moving forward for the position of Hokage, which obviously the entire series is being set up for Naruto gunning for the title of Hokage. So, sometime between here and there, we're probably going to see a real fight between Konohamaru and Naruto, which is neat. They explain what chakra is, how it's mystical energy that they infuse with the energy that's already in all their cells. They explain jutsu, how whenever they infuse that chakra and they weave particular hand signs, it allows them to do special moves. We got to understand some of the ninja ranking that goes on with the Genin and Jonin conversations that went down. And with that, let me know anything that I missed, right? If there was anything neat that got mentioned that, maybe flew under my radar that ought to have been mentioned, let's talk about it. Any burning questions that you guys have, ask them in the comments, right? I'm all about building a community and talking and, all being friends. And with that, again, thanks everybody for tuning in. I'm Joshua. I'm your Konoha companion, and I'm really looking forward to going over episode 3 with you. Thanks a lot.